What's up, awesome YouTubers? Ryan1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you guys, and it's been a while since my last video. I do apologize about that. Maybe about 2 or 3 months ago since my last one. But I am back, and it is the October season, or October season's upon us. It's still September. But I decided to get started early on my October videos because I do have a few things going on in October. So I'm not going to be able to make a video every week. However, I do have some great videos in mind, so look out for more in October. But I wanted to kick off the videos and do my top 25 favorite horror movies of 2019. This is my list right now. It does change every year. Not really my top, 10, but definitely, my top 25 will always change. And I want to get started with some honorable mentions, and then I'm going to go from 1 to 25, because my number 1, a lot of you guys know what that is, so I'm just going to talk about that one first. But let's get started with the honorable mentions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and look out for more to come in the future. So my first 2 honorable mentions are the original Stephen King mini-series, or TV mini-series. I'd put it in a top movie list just because I've always considered it more of a movie than anything. But I do love it. It's campy fun, some things are outdated with it, but overall I love this still. I watch it every October. And then It Chapter 1, absolutely love it. This one came out in 2017. One of my favorites of that year, and It Chapter 2, I really enjoyed that as well, so it would probably rank maybe on this list, I'm not sure, but It Chapter 1 I think is fantastic, and the miniseries I absolutely love. So 2 honorable mentions. The next 2 are a first film and its sequel. In my opinion, they're up there together and they kind of tie together. But that is Strangers and Strangers Prey at Night. I couldn't just pick one. 2 other honorable mentions. Absolutely love both these movies. Both of them have different feels and different atmospheres, and I think that's why I appreciate them so much. The first movie still has a huge effect on me. I love that. And Strangers Prey at Night was surprisingly a fantastic sequel in my opinion. So love those. My only werewolf movie on this list, but I do love it, and there's plenty of others I love, but this is an honorable mention, and that is American Werewolf in London, my favorite werewolf movie. Then I would say The Howling and Ginger Snaps and The Wolfman, the original Wolfman, all fantastic werewolf movies, but this is my favorite one. A remake that's on this list that I actually prefer over the original, and that is The Hills Have Eyes. Love that one. And my last honorable mention is Creepshow. Love Creepshow. Still so good, and definitely plan on watching this October. Now let's go into my top 25. Again, I'm going to start with number 1 and go to 25. And some of them aren't in the correct order. Some of them are just random, but my top 10 are in my top 10. So let's get started with my number 1, and of course that is the original Halloween. And yes, I love a lot of the sequels, but the best one out of the bunch is, in my opinion, the original John Carpenter's Halloween. Favorite horror movie, favorite movie of all time for me. Absolutely love this movie. One of the movies that got my, love of film started. So I just love this. So Halloween, fantastic. My second favorite horror movie, and another one that had a huge impact on me growing up, and that is the original Fright Night. Psycho, the original Psycho, the best one of the bunch, and then Psycho 2 is a fantastic sequel, but the first movie, I love that one. This one, for me, actually is ranked higher on the list. It used to be in my top 10, but definitely not my number 4. And that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original film. And again, sequels overall, I love them, but the best one of the bunch is this one. And I love the remake. I'm a big fan of the remake as well. The next one, The Blair Witch Project, number 5. Again, another one that had a huge impact on me growing up, and as a kid, I remember renting this on VHS over and over. You know, as a kid, I remember me thinking it was real as a kid. You know, it had great marketing, and I love it about that. So yeah, The Blair Witch still holds up really well in my opinion. I know it gets a lot of hate today, but I love that movie. A sequel, or sort of a sequel, and its original movie, they rank in my top 10. But my favorite one is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I think it's fantastic. I love the direction it went with it. It wasn't you know, it was, I guess you might consider it to be sort of a sequel, but it was also its own thing where it took place in reality. And I love it about it. So that concept's great. But yeah, New Nightmare, just fantastic. And it gets better, you know, over the years in my opinion. But of course you have to add on the original film. This one I just remember scaring me so much as a kid. I did not watch this movie again until I was like 16 years old. But I think it's fantastic. So had to throw that one on there. That is a must. An original film, or its first film and its sequel, in my opinion, they tie together, so I kind of cheated a little bit and I threw them both on here because I don't know which one I like. Which one I like better. I kind of go back and forth, but you got the original Evil Dead, which is fantastic. Great memories with that. And more great memories with the Evil Dead 2. Both fantastic films. And again, I just have a hard time ranking these movies, which one I like better. So, you know, they tie in my opinion, on the same countdown. Two other movies, and its first film and its sequel, but these films actually, one ranks higher than the other, but I still love them both. That is Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. Love both of these. Two of my favorite George A. Romero movies. May he rest in peace. Fantastic. And I forgot one, but I guess I'll throw it in as an honorable mention. But Return of the Living Dead, love that movie as well. Another fantastic one. But for me, these are the best ones of the bunch as far as like the, you know, zombie films go. One of my favorite Bob Clark movies, if not my favorite one, and that is Black Christmas. Love that film as well. So fantastic, eerie atmosphere. Still very creepy today when I watch it, and I've seen this movie numerous times over the past 10 or 13 years since I've first seen it, I think in 2006. But love Black Christmas, just a fantastic movie. I love watching it in December, but every once in a while I put it on in October. Black Christmas, one of my favorites. Going on, we got the original Suspiria, but I am a big fan of the remake. I thought that was a really good remake, or reboot, or retelling. But Suspiria, the original one, still the best. Absolutely love this movie. Going on to one of my favorite Stephen King movies, if not my favorite one, and that is Carrie. Again, awesome memories seeing this movie as a kid. I loved reenacting I used to reenact the prom scenes with my sisters. You know, that was always fun. But, loved Carrie. Such a huge impact on me, and I still love this movie today. Fantastic. Another one I did not watch for the first time until I was probably 20 or close to 20 years old, and that is The Exorcist. Yeah, I did not see this movie for a long time just because, you know, my family, I remember telling me how scary it was, and my mom, you know, as a kid, she said she really freaked out with this one, and my sister's seeing it before I did, and I didn't see the movie for a long time, and I watched it, and yes, it is creepy, but it's not the scariest movie for me of all time. Still, huge impact on me when I first saw it. I do love the movie, and I love this steelbook. Recently picked that one up, so... But yeah, The Exorcist, awesome movie, and definitely the best one out of that series. Going on, you know, I love this series altogether. I have a lot of favorites, but my favorite one is Part 6. You know, just love that one, never get tired of it. And that is Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Of course, you know, the first 4 movies are, you know, some of my favorites as well. And some of the later ones definitely are too. But Part 6, if I had to pick one out of the Friday the 13th franchise, that is the one I go to the most. So, love that movie. The only Rob Zombie film on this list, but I do love a lot of his movies. Devil's Rejects. Rest in peace, Sid Haig. He recently passed away yesterday. Huge loss there within the community, but we love you, Sid Haig. Rest in peace, buddy. But House of 1000 Corpses is my favorite Rob Zombie film. I just remember seeing this movie for the first time and thinking this was the craziest thing I'd seen. Because back then, I was watching, Halloween and Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I really did not have a lot of horror movies that I had seen outside of those films. So House of 1000 Corpses was one of those bizarre movies I watched. And I didn't love it right away, but I remember the movie quite a bit. But over the years, I've watched it, and it's become one of my favorite horror movies and my favorite Rob Zombie movie. So, love House of 1000 Corpses. Another Carpenter movie that I absolutely love, and that is The Thing. Fantastic film. Still very eerie. Fantastic atmosphere. Great cast. And, yeah, just love that movie. Another great film, and this movie and the next movie I'm going to talk about are from the same director. But I grew up with this movie. Is it campy? Yes, but I love it. And that is Witchboard. In my opinion, it still has some really creepy moments, though. Very eerie moments, like the music, the look of the movie, the setting. The villain in the movie is very creepy. So yes, there's some campiness to it, but overall there's some really good eerie moments as well. So if you've not seen Witchboard, this is probably one of the underrated ones on the list. Definitely check it out if you've never watched it. And if you haven't seen it in a long time and you're like me and you remembered it as a kid, go back and watch it because in my opinion it still holds up really well. Another Kevin S. Tenney movie, and this one is a must in October, along with like Trick or Treat and a few other ones, Halloween being another one. But that is Night of the Demons, the original film. Absolutely love Night of the Demons. Fun Halloween October movie, and just a fun like horror movie to watch. And again, this is one of those movies that I remember going in the video store all the time and being scared of the original artwork and not watching it until I was like in my early teens. But Night of the Demons became one of my favorites right away. It's still one of my favorites, and again, I watch this every October. Awesome movie. My other John Carpenter favorite, and I think there's only 3 on this list, but the first 3, Halloween, The Thing, and The Fog, are just fantastic, in my opinion. So, another one I grew up with. I remember seeing it on TV quite a bit, and I remember buying the DVD. I saw the remake in theaters. Yes, I saw the remake. And then I was like, I need to see the original, because I only had seen bits and pieces of it. And I remember buying the old MGM DVD that had, I think, like either the green or like the bluish color. Like the special edition DVD that they came out with, and loving it, and I still love this movie now. I'm so happy that this got a Blu-ray release, and that is really cool about Scream Factory. They do some cool stuff, along with Arrow and Vinegar Syndrome. Absolutely love their releases. Another movie that had a huge impact on me as a kid growing up, and I remember seeing this back in 1996 or 97 when it came out on VHS. But that is Scream. Now, I love most of the sequels. I think Scream 2 is a fantastic horror movie sequel. Definitely up there with that first movie. But the best one for me is the first film. It still holds up really well. And, of course, it had to make the list. So, love that. Another one, and now we're digging into my second favorite Tobe Hooper movie. And that is Poltergeist. Now, this one, for me, I grew up with it. But, like, over the years, like, if I'm like in the mood to watch Poltergeist, I think I watch it like 2 years, or I watch it 2 times within a year. There's just something about it that, every time I watch it, it never gets old for me. And Poltergeist is just awesome. Classic film, very eerie, very creepy, one of my favorites. And I really like the sequels. Part 2 I like. Part 3 I love, actually. It's really campy. It's definitely not up there with this, but I love Part 3. And Part 2 has grown on me quite a bit. Creepy movie with, Reverend Kane. But the first movie is the best. Love that. My other favorite Tobe Hooper movie, or you can call it a miniseries, again, for me, I grew up with a lot of these movies, and I saw parts of these on TV, so I consider them to be movies. So this is a TV movie, but that is Salem's Lot. Love Salem's Lot. Watch it every October. Fantastic, and one that had to make the list. It's just an October tradition of mine, like I said, and if you've never seen this movie, or if you've never seen this mini-series, definitely go see it, because I hear they're actually going to be remaking this, or making it into a theatrical film. So definitely go back, watch the mini-series, and then when that theatrical film comes out, you can check that one out. I still think it's very creepy. The other one, and my second to last one to talk about, is another great Stephen King movie, and that is Pet Sematary. And I forgot The Shining. I love that one too. So The Shining, another great one, and not in my top 25, but top 26 maybe. I just forgot it. But Pet Sematary is, in my opinion, better than The Shining. Love all three of those. Carrie, Pet Sematary, Salem's Lot, and The Shining. I guess that's 4 of them. And It. Jeez, keep forgetting these. But anyway, Pet Sematary is my second favorite horror movie. I love this movie so much. Very creepy still. Zelda is scary. I tend to skip some of her scenes because she always is in my head, for 3 days after I watch the movie. But I love Pet Sematary. The original, of course, is the best. The sequel, Part 2, is just a really fun sequel that I enjoy. And I really like the remake as well. But the first movie is the best. Hands down. Love Pet Sematary. And the last one, and again, this might be one of those underrated ones on the list, but I love this movie, and that is Prom Night. I had to throw a slasher in here because I do love a lot of slasher movies. And this one was one of the first, if not the first, slasher movie I saw out of like the mainstream franchises. So like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all those movies I saw first, and that's what made me the horror movie fan. But Prom Night is one of those first slashers outside of those that I saw, and one of the first horror movies that I saw outside of those big franchises that I fell in love with right away. And I still love this movie. It's fun, it's campy, has one of the best killers in a movie, and it has the best chase scene, if not one of the best chase scenes, with Wendy, the character. So if you know what I'm talking about, if you've seen this, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, love Prom Night. So yeah, just absolutely love that. Anyway, guys, that's my top 25. I left some really cool stuff out. I always tend to do that. So like The Shining, for instance, top 26 right now. But again, it could change over time. I just forgot that one. But I love The Shining. Lords of Salem, another honorable mention. These movies would make my top 30, if not definitely top 35. But horror movies are like candy for me. It's just hard to pick which ones are gonna make the list, and it always changes except for my top 10. That always usually stays the same. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and look out for more videos to come in October. Again, I wanted to get started and kick off with my top 25 favorite horror movies of all time. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. In with the positive, out with the negative. You guys are awesome. And go eat some Skittles. Thank you, guys.